This is for you.
What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, aka shirts are on the way, so get hyped because I'm hyped. But anyways, today we are going to do Carson Wentz versus Trey Lance. We're gonna put them together and we're gonna do this. All right. So I split it up into 5 different categories to make this like an easy, one versus one, because I try to just like do a rant about them. Did not work at all. So this is what we're going to do. The 5 categories are going to be 1, rushing, passing, ball security, availability, and awareness and impact on team. So I'm going to be putting availability and impact on team together. That's how it's going to be 5. I can't read. Don't worry about me. So we'll start right from the beginning. All right. So we'll look at the frames of these guys first of all, right? So Carson Wentz was 6'6", 235, right? We're looking at his best college year, which was his junior year. He played all 16 games, obviously won the national championship. So we're going to compare that year to Trey Lance's year this year, or last year I should say. So he was 6'6", 235 coming in. Trey Lance right now is 6'3", 224 pounds. So kind of similar. Obviously, Carson is huge. Carson's like 3 inches bigger, taller. Trey Lance does not run like he's 224. He does not run like he's 6'3". That kid runs like the wind. It's crazy, which we'll get right into right now. So the first one will be rushing. So Carson Wentz, his best year, he had 138 attempts for 642 yards. Rushing, 6 touchdowns. He also had a 16-yard receiving touchdown. So there you go. Kudos to him. He can catch the ball too. That's impressive. Obviously we knew what he was when he was coming out of college. We were very enamored with the athleticism that he brought. He's not a run-first quarterback. He's a very elusive, in-the-pocket type quarterback that just tries to make the play last longer. So, those are great numbers. Don't get me wrong. I couldn't find any fumbles. So apparently he didn't fumble. I have a hard time believing that, but I was looking around. So if you guys know, please do let me know. Now on to Trey. This is where Trey really does shine. It really does separate him from other quarterbacks, especially Carson in this one. So he had 169 attempts, so about 31 more, 1,100 yards, and he had 14 touchdowns. Like, those are insane numbers. And if you look at the runs, like, obviously it wasn't that many more attempts than Carson Wentz. If you watch the runs, they were 60, 50-yard runs every time. That kid is elusive. He gets out of the pocket and it's a wrap. And a lot of his runs were quarterback designed runs. They would run up the middle, sweeps, stuff like that. But even when plays broke down, he's not afraid to tuck it in and run. It seems like he's more willing to sit in the pocket, try and make things work inside the pocket, and find his receivers, which is very good, especially for a freshman. So in rushing, I think it's very easy. I have to give that to Trey Lance. Trey Lance just blows him out of the water there. Now, number 2 is passing. Now, this one, this is obviously a lot of people are probably gonna. It's easy to say, Wentz, because we know what he is now, but we're obviously, like I said, looking back. Looking back at their best years. So obviously he had 228 completions off 358 attempts. That's Carson Wentz. 25 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, 3,111 yards. 3,111. That was a little funny to me. So he did well. That was very good. His numbers didn't show how good of an arm he had. If you look at that team that they had when he was playing and you look at the team they have now, he definitely, Trey Lance has better weapons around him, probably a better offensive line as well. Those are good numbers. They're not like, crazy, smack you in the face type numbers. But then we go to Trey Lance. Trey Lance had a significant amount less of passing, statistics and passing attempts. So he had 287 attempts, and he had 192 completions, which is not bad at all, don't get me wrong. And he obviously had 28 touchdowns, passing touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in 16 games. I don't care if you're playing backyard football. That's an impressive stat for anybody. 28 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And if you watch the games, I watched some film on him. He deserves that stat. It wasn't like he got lucky and people were dropping him left and right. He made great decisions. There was times that he was a bit too safe, which I'll get to later. But he didn't make any bad decisions. There was a lot of games that I watched that he did not make one bad decision. Like I said, maybe a little bit too safe. But as far as just throwing it up there and, praying for something, he didn't do that. So that's very impressive. And he's a freshman, technically. He was a freshman last year, redshirt freshman. He had a 90%, I think it was between 88 and 90% chance of scoring whenever he was on the field. That's insane. That just shows you he put the ball in the end zone. There was no playing around with him. And, didn't turn over the ball, which is insane. No interceptions, like I said. I don't care if you're playing the backyard, Catholic school league. I don't care what you're playing. No interceptions. That's impressive. This is the one I got to give to Wentz. And it's more of looking at the fact that he had more passing attempts. You saw more than in Wentz, in that year, as far as a passer than I particularly saw in Trey Lance. Trey Lance has a great deep ball. He's still inconsistent on his deep ball, but those receivers are wide open 95% of the time, and he still overthrew some people in clean pockets. So I have to say I give it to Carson Wentz. He just showed more of a NFL prowess at that time. Trey Lance is still only a redshirt sophomore, so he has time to prove, and I think he will probably this year. Hopefully he stays one more year, but this might be the year he just ups and goes. But I have to give that to Carson Wentz just on the eye test, just on the film alone. So next we go to the all-important ball security. This is one of the most important things, and I think everybody already knows who's going to win this one. This versus thing went way different than I thought it was, to be honest, but it's kind of cool. So we'll start with Carson, as always. He had 10 interceptions in 16 games. And like I said, I couldn't find any fumble stats on him. I'm 95% sure that he had fumbles in college. I don't think that's something you just learn how to do it in the NFL. Obviously, he's been not very good at protecting the ball in the NFL for the Eagles, but I can't use that against him. So I can only use the 10 interceptions. That is what it is. So he had 10 interceptions, apparently no fumbles. My man's, like I said, Trey Lance, he had 0 interceptions, and not only that, if you even go back to last year, he had no interceptions. They only threw one ball, don't get me wrong, but he had 0 interceptions, didn't throw an interception. Also the fumbles. His whole career in the games that he's played, he's dropped the ball 5 times, but he's only given up the ball once, which is incredible. Look at the amount of times that he's run the ball. To only have 1 lost fumble, that's very impressive. And he's a big body guy, so that shows that he's probably using his body, protecting the ball. He needs to protect himself. He needs to slide more. He needs to learn to protect himself. But you can say the same thing about Carson Wentz even now. So, that's something hopefully he can learn. He does hold the all-division record for the longest streak without an interception, which is 288 passes. So no interception in 288 passes. Like I said, I don't care what league that's in. That's impressive. So I have to give this to Trey Lance. I have to. Right now we're at 2-1 for Trey Lance. I have to give this to Trey Lance. It's really, you can try and make an argument for Carson, but it is what it is. Ball security has to go to Trey Lance. So we're at 2-1. It is what it is. I don't know. This is kind of going way different than I thought. But now, awareness. Obviously, this is very important. This is kind of hand in hand with ball security, so I kind of put it right behind it. Awareness, this also went a little bit differently than I thought. In his best year, again, we're only going off that 1 year, his junior year, Carson Wentz had 20 sacks, or was sacked 20 times, let me say that. And a lot of those were him not getting the ball off quick enough. His offensive line was very good. A lot of those were him just trying to roll out, make something out of it, him getting sacked. It is what it is. That's the type of player he is. That's the type of player he probably always will be. But that happened a lot. Now, if you look on the other side, the guy that runs it a lot, who you would think has more sacks, does not. He has 12. He was sacked 12 times last year, which I think is incredible too. Don't get me wrong, that offensive line is very good, but if you watch film, and I'm gonna keep telling you, you guys got to go look this guy up. His foot movement is crazy. His footwork is crazy. He stays in the pocket for a while if he has to. Like I said, he's very lucky because he has wide receivers that can create separation, pretty quickly. So he's not having to dance around. But even when he does have to, he shows that he can do that. His throw on the run is very good, very comparable to Carson Wentz. Now, he's a great decision maker. Like I said, the only thing you can really say is he needs to protect himself. He needs to slide more. But you can say the same thing about Carson and more. Carson didn't, back then, he wasn't that good at setting his feet once he needed to make a throw. That's something that Trey Lance has really shown, that he's willing to stop in the middle of him, scrambling out and set his feet and get a good throw off. I feel like that's something that Carson Wentz lacked at that position at that time. So, I'm going to have to give this to Trey Lance. So, right now we are 3-1 Trey Lance. It is what it is. I'm just looking at the numbers, I'm looking at the film, and I'm trying to take away that he's my quarterback, but it is what it is. This is what I'm looking at, and I'm in no way saying that, let's go give up the farm for Trey Lance. I'm just doing a versus, so don't kill me in the comments. Now, the last two, I guess you could say, I'm going to put them together as one, is availability and team impact. Now, I'm putting them together as one because you got to be available to have the impact on your team. Now, I think you guys all know who won. It is what it is. It's not really even close. It's not really fair, I guess, because, I'm having to use Carson's senior year. They both played 16 games one time. It is what it is, but Carson did miss 8 games his senior year. He did come back, towards the end of the year and lead them to a championship, which is awesome. But he did miss those games, especially with Trey Lance's play style. I'm surprised he has not, God forbid, I'm not, wishing it on him, but I'm surprised nothing's happened to him. But, it is what it is. Trey has not gotten hurt. He hasn't really even had to come out for a quick breather. The kid's been, kind of a gladiator. I have to give it to Trey again. Trey has been durable. Trey has been there. And since he's been able to be there, he's been the catalyst to that team, whether it been him running or him passing. Now, like I said, I am not doing this as, get rid of Carson and let's go all in on Trey Lance. I'm just saying, he might be the best quarterback that no one's talking about. And he might be a first-round pick next year. And he might be the first quarterback pick next year. So I suggest you guys keep your eyes open for Trey Lance. Now, everybody knows the winner is Trey Lance. So, that is what it is. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know. But yeah, other than that, you know what time it is. It's Fly, Eagles Fly, and we out here. Peace.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.